Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is me, Retrosorter, with another Farming Simulator 22 farm build video. This time I am building on Calm Lands, which is a map by erShaba. It's another open map, as you can see, which allows for pretty much any sort of building you would like. There are some areas which cannot be modified, namely the roads and the water areas. Also the shop area and the sale points up at the top of the map. That's pretty much about all that you can't edit. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this build. This is PlayStation 5 and I will try to explain anything technical I'm doing as I go along. So just sit back and enjoy. The mod I'm using here is called the Tree Devourer, and for some unknown reason I decided to get it with the pipe and the trailer and put a sale point in to get rid of the wood chips, whereas you can just buy it without the pipe and it will just make the tree disappear into thin air. But there you go, that's what I did. I do modify it later on to get rid of the pipe and just use it to get rid of trees. For those of you that don't know about the free mode, you can press triangle and that enables you to place items on top of each other, or in this case, wherever you can see inside a building, you can place an item inside it. So here you see me trying a new technique for hiding a milk extension silo inside another vehicle. Not a vehicle, it's a building, isn't it? Just thought it looked better rather than just having a stainless steel tank sat there in the middle of nowhere. I placed it there next to the milk trigger so that it kind of makes sense, although the downside to putting it inside the mesh for the animal roaming means that they do walk through the building, but if you just ignore that, then it looks fine. Alternatively, you can place it outside the mesh area and then you won't have any problems, which is what I do on another cow pasture that I placed later on, which you will see. Here you see me using these concrete walls. It's from a bunker silo set, and I use them for decorative purposes, but here you see me using it to align objects, because those walls have a step when you're rotating them. This rotating, I don't know what angle it is, maybe 5-degree angles, so you can use them to align things with each other. If you're trying to place something down and get the other item to align with it properly, just place one of those concrete walls down at the correct angle, and then the next, delete it, and then the next item you place will be at that angle. It's very useful. I've used it quite extensively in this build for aligning things. You'll see it more when I build the bus shelter a bit later on. So here we go, I'm putting in the second milk extension for this cow pen, and I'm using a different building to put it in, but this time I'm placing it outside the mesh so that the animals don't wander through it. I do place it a little bit close, so I delete the pasture and move it over after I place the milk extension and the little building that I've put it in. So you see the mesh is just interfering with the wall a little bit, so I do delete the pasture and move it over. I think it looks quite nifty with that air conditioning or the cooler unit sticking out on the outside of the barn. I think they would kind of be installed like that in real life. So to supply this with water, I'm using a mod called Free Water Pumps and Tanks, and that basically gives you a set of tanks that are in the silo extensions section of the build mode, and you put them down next to greenhouses, and it's an extension tank for your greenhouse to supply water. You don't have to fill it up as much, but you put it down and it gives you a tank full of water of maybe 10,000, the big one's 10,000 litres I think. But you can also put them next to your cow pastures or your animal pastures that don't have a water supply, and it creates a supply for you. It will eventually run out, but it just gives it a larger capacity than the standard animal pastures do. So here's a chance for seeing how the concrete wall mod can be used. I've aligned that with the bunker silo behind it, placed it down, and now the fuel tanks end up being parallel with the wall behind them. It's a very simple technique and easy to use. And you also see here that you can use items to stand things on top of. This silo here I find is a little bit too short for trailers, but if you stand it on those concrete blocks it fits under no problem. At this point I am putting down some dry grass around the olive groves just to make the edges of them look less uniform and they blend in a bit more. I think they look better. Be careful when you're doing this. If you do paint over too much, then the next time you load the game the olive grove will be invisible and you have to delete it or delete one section of it to get it to come back again. So this has been my first time using this mod, the olive trees. I really like it, but it can be a bit finicky. I found that the placing of them is really sensitive to the objects around it. So as you can see here, I've had to delete some of the fence to get them to place in the right position. And with these, if you do paint over the ground texture, then they do tend to disappear next time you load the game as well, so just be careful when you're painting, because that's what I did. I had to replace all of these trees. Other than that, fantastic little mod, along with the tree shaker that comes with it. I think it's brilliant. So you're going to like this tip. This setup I have here, it's the cultivator from the field creator pack, along with the drawbar, and that allows you to cultivate at really fast speed, as you can see there. Downhill 40 kilometers an hour. Makes very light work of massive fields. And here just got a smaller one to tidy up around the edges, because I'd already put the fences in. It made it very difficult. while I was working on this build, there was a mod that came out which was the fish farm, and I thought that would be brilliant to place down at the river. Now you can place things over the river, and like you see there, it builds the land out underneath it, but if you use the default for the fish farm, it puts an extra bit of land all the way around it, which I didn't like. So I did some experimenting, and I found that the one of the sawmills has a footprint that is just the right size for the fish farm there, which is what I've used to extend it out into the river a bit, because obviously you don't own that land, you can't modify it in any way. So I just placed it slightly off into the water, and that's the result there. I think it looks fantastic. You could of course just place the fish farm overhanging the river, but because you have to use free mode to do that, it just looks like it's hanging, hovering above the water, which I didn't like. So I'm really glad that sawmill pack fit the bill. I think it looks fantastic. So another mod came out while I was building, which was a bus, and I thought I have to put a bus stop in. And the reason being is that my real life job, I am a bus driver. So it just had to be done. Now there isn't a bus stop in the mod hub, so I've had to create one using a concrete wall, some brick walls, some other decorative items, namely a curb, some concrete floor panels and benches, flower pots, a roof extension and some signs. I think the finished product looks pretty darn good. This is all done using free mode, and to align things using the concrete block, which you will see in a second when I try to place the benches. There you go, pop that in, that puts the roof the right way around. And I did the same again for the benches. I didn't show it there, but I did the same thing because the benches were the wrong way around, and everything just gets lined up perfectly. Wasn't too happy with how the road turned out, but I think I managed to smooth it out quite well. And there's no bus stop sign in all the sign packs. There is one for German, but it's got a H on it. I don't know where about you, but that means hospital where we are. So I didn't really want to put that one on. So I just used this sign and put two back to back to make it look like a bus stop. So it doesn't actually say what it is. And here comes the bus. This is a brilliant mod. If you play multiplayer, get this mod because it's fantastic. It has 44 seats and you can sit in every seat. So if you've got a group of people, you can all get on the bus together. Brilliant. So here I am putting beehives in the olive grove, and yes, before you shout at your screens, I know bees and olives don't go together because olive trees don't produce flowers, but the field over has crops that require pollination, so that is what it's for. Now in this area I'm going to be placing some greenhouses, and I want to put them all next to each other. I say greenhouses, it's a mod called the foil tunnel, and slot them all together to create a kind of garden centre area. And you see here me using a bunker silo to rotate them at the right angle, because bunker silos only rotate in 90-degree angles. I'm using that to align them up and get them to just the right angle so that you don't have any misalignment issues, because I wanted the fruit storage area to be at the end of the tunnels, not interfering with each other. As you see there, I've done it again. There we go. Now, one thing I would say, if you're going to do that, paint the ground beforehand, because it's quite difficult to get in there with your ground texture because there's no room for the brush to go in. So I would paint the soil texture in beforehand. As you can see here, I'm just trying to do it, and it's quite difficult. You have to take your time and get in the little gaps. Now in this section I'm putting a bridge in, and you'll see me using the concrete block there to align the pieces, because you have to use 2 items to span across that area. It's just not possible with one piece, so you have to make sure they're aligned properly, and I'm using the concrete block to make the 180-degree turn. And it's just the right size, that, and luckily the ground is pretty even either side, and I think that has worked just right. Now then, you can see here that the grass texture, it won't let me paint it, so there is a technique you can use for that. Certain items, decorative items, when you place them, they will erase the texture below them, like so. So now that all the building is completed, I've done quite a bit off camera, putting details in, decorations and plants, trees. So I'll give you a quick tour around. Hopefully you can see everything from the first person on the quad bike. I think it's quite a good view, and yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed it. So here we are at the end of my farm build video on Calm Lands. This has been a Farming Simulator 22 build on PlayStation 5, and I really hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed making it. If you have, then please drop me a like, and if you want to see more of this type of content, then please do consider subscribing if you're not already. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll say goodbye for now.